Joining us once again is Bill Maher, the host of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. Bill, thanks very much for sticking with us. Great to have you here.
I've calmed down, Rachel. I've calmed down.
Well, I'd like to get you more excited by talking to you again about Mitt Romney, who I know gets your blood pumping.
Good.
Chris Christie has endorsed Mitt Romney now. Tim Pawlenty today said that he wishes he was back in the race, which is a little odd given that he is Mitt Romney's campaign co-chairman now. It's hard to make the case for that guy being the guy for the country when you say that you wish that you had stayed in the race to beat him. What do you make of the Republican Party's dissatisfaction with Mr. Romney, even as they seem to be picking him as their nominee?
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, it's delightful for someone who doesn't like the Republicans. I'm enjoying them, watching them pick at each other. I mean, you have to understand that the Republicans, I think, basically cannot find a person that they really like because they really don't like people. They like people in general. They like people in the abstract. If you show a soldier, you know, in a sunset and put the syrupy music behind it, they get all teary like John Boehner. But if that soldier then opens his mouth and says he's gay, they'll boo him right out of the room. So I think that's part of it. They really just don't like human beings. You know, they like Ayn Rand, who doesn't like human beings. And as far as Mitt Romney, you know, I was reading an interesting poll today that said most Republicans still are not even familiar with Mitt Romney. They can't even name the people who are running. This isn't just Americans. This is Republicans who you'd think would be a little more interested. I don't think they really know who he is yet, so he's still kind of defining himself. And of course, you have so much to pick from to define because he's been on every side of every issue, as we know. What really is going to be the problem for Mitt Romney is the Mormonism thing. I don't think the flip-flopping thing bothers people anymore. They kind of accept that politicians are always full of it and all over the map, and you can't trust them, and they say one thing and do another. But the religion stuff in this dumb religious country, that's going to be a problem for Mitt Romney, as we saw this week when Herman Cain, well, not Herman Cain, who outed him? Rick Perry, the Jeffers guy who was Rick Perry surrogate. Yes, Rick Perry outed him as a Mormon and started to play this Mormon card. And when people find out that, you know, Mormonism really is not a branch of Christianity, I think it's going to be a problem for him. When Mitt Romney made his speech in 2007, people compared it to the Kennedy speech in '60. It was nothing like the Kennedy speech. What Kennedy was saying was, I'm a Catholic, yes, but I'm not going to be taking my orders from the Pope. I separate church and state. That's not what Mitt Romney said. What Mitt Romney said was, look, yes, I'm a Mormon. That's different than a Christian. But what's important is that we all believe in nonsense. We could all rally around that.
Do you think, though, that, I mean, Mitt Romney now has this choice of whether or not to redo that speech that he did before about his faith? Or should, I mean, he could also go sort of on the offensive against the people who are calling his religion a cult. I mean, it seems like he's counting on this creating some sympathy for him because his religion has now been attacked by his political rivals. If you were advising Mitt Romney and you wanted him to win the nomination, what would you tell him to say about this? I mean, he's sort of in a box, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would advise him to become a Protestant, and I'm sure he would have no problem doing that because he's Mitt Romney. He is the ultimate shapeshifter. If a poll came out tomorrow that said he could get elected easier if he was a black woman, he would have the sex change operation tomorrow, get a weave, and rename himself Letitia. I have no doubt about that. But you know, he's not going to do that, of course. You know, he's going to downplay it as he did before. It kind of gloss over this idea that Mormonism is a completely different religion, as it is, from Christianity. He's going to try to sell this idea that we're all, you know what, this is just a different branch of Christianity. No, it's not. I was raised Catholic. I don't remember anything about magic underwear or baptizing dead people or getting your own planet to rule over when you die. Mormonism, I mean, look, all religion is nuts, but Mormonism just takes it to a different level. I mean, all religion is magic tricks. Mormonism is just a particularly cheap novelty store brand of magic trick.
please address your commentary, Rachel Maddow Show viewers, to Bill Maher, the host of HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. Bill, can I ask you one last question about the Democratic side of things right now?
Absolutely.
All right. President Obama right now has this jobs program, right? He's got it's infrastructure investment, it's middle class tax cuts, it's all these hiring incentives, and he's got Republicans 100% uniformly allied against him on this for all the obvious reasons. But he cannot get Democrats uniformly behind him on this. He cannot get unanimity from the senators in his own party that they should support his jobs plan. Is that just in the nature of Democrats at this point, or is there anything that they can do to sort of get in line on this?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if they can get them in line, but I would agree with you that that is one of the big problems in this country. Is we understand that the Republicans are mostly bad policymakers who are trying retreaded ideas that didn't work the first time. What's especially disappointing is that group of Democratic senators, you know, the Ben Nelsons, these same types, these centrist, corporatist Democrats who ally with them. You know, it's bad enough that you need 60 votes, which is kind of a quiet coup in our government, because really the Constitution says it should be 51 to get something done. When you add the fact that there's 53 Democratic senators, 40 of them are pretty good, but there's that 13 that call themselves centrist that really wind up with the Republicans, and then, of course, nothing is ever going to get done. And this is, again, to come back to what we started to talk about, why I think that Occupy Wall Street movement is so important. Because the left needs something to move them away from the center and toward the left. You know, we've tried conservatism in this country, we've tried centrism. We need something to make us try liberal policies.
Bill Maher, the host of HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. He's performing live at the Gibson Amphitheater at Universal Studios on November 5th. Mr. Maher, I will see you next week on your TV
Right here in L.A., right.
Woo! I will be there.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll be much more relaxed.
Yes.
Thanks,
okay.
Bill. Good to see you.
Okay.
We'll be right
You
back
too.
with the best new thing in the world today.